Hi everyone, welcome to another class at 2Ps. This class is on using die cuts for masking and stamping. And I'm starting out with some flowers that I've die cut with my Quick Cut Silhouette digital cutting machine. This is from the Spring Flowers Digital Designer Cuts kit. It's in the digital section of the 2P store. And what I'm doing is I'm just using some removable adhesive just to tack down these flowers just so I can, you know, they'll stay in place, but that I can pull them off in a little bit after I've done some sponging over top with some ink. And the removable adhesive that I'm using is just the Tombow like mono adhesive, but it's the removable kind. And you can buy the removable refills and just put them in the same holder as your permanent. So I like to do that sometimes too. Anyway, I'm speeding up this clip here. This is me just sponging on some ink. This is some ink from Ranger. And just ink it over or sponge over the flowers that I've cut out. And I'm being pretty careful not to, you know, when I press it down to kind of smush it too much because, you know, that might cause the ink to go underneath the flowers that are just adhered down. So I'm just going to finish sponging that really quick here. And then I'm going to start back up again and show you what it looks like when I start to peel them off. So I'm going to just lift this up really easily. And this is my favorite part of masking, is seeing what happened, because you can't tell until you take it off. And that removable adhesive just peels off with your fingertips. Just going to remove all of that. And I really love the soft look and feel that comes from sponging on ink over something that's masked. I think it's a really cool technique, and it sort of looks like spray paint. I think it's kind of neat. So here I have a standard size card. This was an 8.5 by 11 sheet of craft cardstock that I cut in half and then folded in half. And I'm adhering down the piece that I've sponged and masked with the flowers. And the next thing I'm going to be doing is using a stamp from Hero Arts. This stamp, I'm not sure what set it's from, but it will be listed in the materials used over at 2Ps. So be sure to check out the class page for that. But this stamp says, "You make my heart happy." And I think it's just a really cute sentiment just for anyone in your life. This is also a stamp from Hero Arts. It's a little butterfly stamp. And I stamped it once and missed the corner, so I stamped it again. So anyway, I'm just trimming it out. And I'll be adhering it to the front of the card using some foam adhesive. And so I'm just taking the backer off that foam adhesive. And then I'll be pressing it onto the front of the card. And the only thing that I had left to do after I put the butterfly on was to just round the corners. So I'm using a Fiskars Corner Rounder squeezy punch. And I love these punches because they're so much easier on your hands. So those of you who might have wrist problems or hand problems, try out these Fiskars punches. They're really great. The second card that I want to show you is how you can use these die cut flowers, or any die cuts really, with stamping. And it's a similar idea with, you know, that we use with the sponging, because I'm going to be using it as a kind of as a barrier between the stamp and the paper, just like it was the barrier between the inked sponge and the paper. So I'm once again using a temporary adhesive, a removable adhesive. And I put that flower down, and now I'm using a stamp positioner. And basically a stamp positioner, or the most common one is the Stamp-A-Majig, is it's sort of like a T-square. And then you put the imaging sheet, kind of like a clear sheet, up into the corner of the T-square, and then you stamp onto the imaging sheet. Make sure your stamp is pushed all the way up into the corner of that T-square. And then when you go to your project, or scratch paper, whatever it is, you can put the imaging sheet over top, and then put the T-square back on, and then remove the imaging sheet, and it's in the perfect place for you to ink up your stamp again, and then press it into that corner. So that's why you have the T-square, so you can get in that corner in the same position, and then you can press down evenly. I know a lot of stampers who use Stamp-A-Majig for all stamping, no matter if they're positioning or not, because when you have that T-square and have something to butt up against with your stamp, you get a much more even impression. So I'm just taking that off, And then I'll be putting a button in the center. And just a few more things to finish up this card. I cut off about a ½ inch off the front of the card, and I always like to cut off that little extra after I folded the card already so that I can make sure that it's a standard size card. I've got some orange cardstock here from American Crafts, just adhering to the front of the scallop piece so that I can slide it into the card, and I'm putting it up against the bottom of the inside of the card. And this will ensure that the card is the right dimensions, and then I can just press it down and it's the right size. The last thing I'm going to be doing on this card is using a little bit of white gel pen just to write in a sentiment. Makes it more personal, but I mean, you could use stamp sets, you could use stickers, anything you'd like, just to put a little bit of words onto a card like this. And I really like to do a little bit of handwriting on cards just because it feels more personal to me. And also you can customize your sentiment to say whatever you'd like. So it's really great for cards, like if it's for a special event, you know, maybe if someone's moving all the way across the country for a new job, or even for those hard to say things, sympathy cards and things like that. Personalizing your sentiment is really great for that. So I've just written in thank you for everything, and then I went around the edge or in the border, and then I'm also putting some stitching lines all the way across the bottom right above the seam of where the craft cardstock meets the orange cardstock. And that finishes the second card. And the third card I'm going to be doing is a smaller card. It's just a 3x3 card. And I was thinking this would be a really great card for a wedding gift or an anniversary gift or something like that, because I'm going to be using a sentiment stamp from Technique Tuesday that says celebrate. So it could be for a birthday or anything like that. But in this case, I'm going to be using that die cut flower, and I've used that temporary adhesive again, and including the front, the inside of the card, because I'm going to be using this Maya Road Mist, it's Maya Mist, to spray on some color. And I didn't want the card to open like it did just then, so I'm just going to press it back down again. And I'm just going to spray over it, and then we'll lift it out. And it had to dry a little bit, and it sort of warped the paper because that ink that sprays on is pretty wet. So what I did after pulling off the flower is I just took the acrylic block that I've been stamping with, and I just put it on top. The acrylic block was just heavy enough to hold it closed. And I'm going to be putting that button on, but before I put the button on, I'm going to do some stamping. Like I mentioned before, I have a sentiment stamp that says celebrate. And I'm using some Versamark ink just to stamp that on there. I'm going to be embossing, so I needed a really sticky, wet ink for it. I like to store my embossing powders in plastic containers like this with a spoon. It's just easier for cleanup because you don't have to try to, get it back into a container or anything like that. Heating it with a heat tool just until it melts. And then I'll be taking the button and putting a mini glue dot on the back and then adhering it to the front of the card. Super easy 3x3 card, and great for gifts. You don't want something too big for gifts, I suppose. And so there you go. And here's all 3 cards finished. And I hope you enjoyed this die cut class. Please check out the message boards over at 2Ps. You can join along with us. And thanks for watching.